I'm Jayson Jorgensen. It is time for another edition of HuskerChat. We are joined by Sean Callahan, the publisher of Husker Online, as we take a look back at Nebraska's tight victory against Northwestern, and we look forward to this week's game at Minnesota. Sean, we all kind of expected a tight matchup between Nebraska and Northwestern, and we pretty much got the type of game we've seen from these two programs ever since Nebraska's joined the Big Ten.
Yeah, you look at this series, Jayson, over time, 6 of the 9 games have been decided by 3 points or less. 7 have been decided by 7 points or less. We got that again. Nebraska kind of pulled it out in dramatic fashion, and that's really been the tale of this series. You know, teams have made improbable comebacks or finishes, and Nebraska got one again with Lane McCollum, a walk-on kicker, drilling a field goal in a situation about a month ago he never would have thought he'd be in.
I think you really have to give Coach Frost and the team a lot of credit for finding a way to pull that one out, as many of their top players had left and weren't playing in that one.
You had no Adrian Martinez, no J.D. Spielman down the stretch, no Maurice Washington down that stretch of the game. You already were without Khalil Davis. So you look at guys like Noah Vedral stepping up, Lane McCollum, as I mentioned earlier. But I thought Frost and the coaching staff did a great job of looking at what they had. And they had one guy, Wan'Dale Robinson, that was a difference maker on that field. They drew up 3 plays to Wan'Dale, a long touchdown run, a shovel pass play that should have been a touchdown, and then obviously the catch that he made to set up the field goal. And I thought Wan'Dale Robinson was the pure difference in that game, along with the Lamar Jackson interception.
Now, a lot is going to be talked about and made this week about Adrian Martinez, if he can go, if he can't go. What's kind of your take on how this shakes out, and how confident are you that Noah Vedral can show up in Minneapolis on Saturday night and play well?
Yeah, today it just has the feel that Noah Vedral is going to get the nod. The way Martinez came off that field, the way he almost had to be carried off the field, it just didn't look good. And, you know, you think about it, you know, if he doesn't play Saturday, that would give him, with the bye week now, 3 full weeks between Saturdays to rest that leg or knee and see where it's at. And Noah Vedral obviously got the #1 reps early in the week in practice. Luke McCaffrey with him as well. And it just seems to me that he's going to be the guy, and I know he's ready for it. This is a moment that Noah has trained for his entire life. This is why he came to Nebraska. He's a very poised, confident kid, a very good athlete, was a point guard on a state championship basketball team, took his football team in high school to the state finals, and was a state hurdling champion. So he's got a little bit of everything that he brings to the table, and you know, I think he's excited for this opportunity.
Today on Husker Chat, we're joined by Sean Callahan of Husker Online. Now, there's no secret here. Nebraska's had some issues along the offensive line. Cam Jurgens continues to struggle with the snaps. What was made of that this week?
You know, we talked about it a little bit. Matt Farniak gave some interesting comments, just saying that it's not acceptable. They've got to get it fixed, and you know, it's elementary, and that is true. I mean, that should be, you know, an automatic. The snap should get to the quarterback, and it's lingered as a problem, and here we are now 6 weeks in, going into game 7, and we're still talking about it, and that should not be the case. And you know, I don't know if Jurgens is just too jacked up or putting too much pressure on himself, but you know, it's becoming something that you never should talk about, and we're talking about it way too much for this point of the year.
How about this matchup with Minnesota? Of course, they have their interesting head coach and P.J. Fleck. They played a very, very soft non-conference schedule. They almost lost those 3 games, but it looks like in the last couple of weeks, things are starting to come together for the Gophers.
Yeah, Minnesota kind of took the old Bill Snyder approach back in the 90s, when Snyder would schedule 3 non-Power 5 league game or non-conference games. And then on top of that, Minnesota has maybe the best schedule draw of any team in the conference. Their crossover games are Maryland and Rutgers. They also have Penn State. They don't play Iowa and Wisconsin until later in the schedule like normal. So they, you know, when they looked at this schedule to start the year, A lot of people thought it was very realistic that they should be 5-0 going into the Nebraska game. And if they weren't 5-0, that was going to be a disappointment. So this is a team that has some weapons on offense. Tyler Johnson might be the best receiver in the conference. They've got a stable of running backs, Shannon Brooks and Rodney Smith, that feels like they've been at Minnesota for 20 years. And then they've got Rodney Ibrahim, another guy that's been impressive over his early career at Minnesota. So they are loaded on offense with playmakers. Tanner Morgan, their quarterback, is going to run the zone read option. That gave Nebraska problems last week, and he's a lot more dynamic of an athlete. So that worries me a little bit going into Saturday, knowing that Morgan is going to be able to hurt Nebraska, and they've got to have a sound plan for that option and zone read game.
Sounds like the weather could be tough on Saturday night. Would you expect to see kind of an offensive battle in this one?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a deal where field position and running the football is going to be a huge factor. If it's windy and wet or snowy, throwing down the field may not be as easy, and that helps Nebraska. Minnesota has 3 NFL caliber receivers led by Tyler Johnson, and if the conditions and the wind limit that, I think that's a big boost for Nebraska's defense in this game.
Well, as always, we'll see how it shakes out on Saturday night. Sean, as always, thanks a lot for your time.
Hey, thanks, Jayson.
And that was Sean Callahan, the publisher of Husker Online. His thoughts heading into that Nebraska-Minnesota matchup. As always, thanks a lot for joining us for Husker Chat. I'm Jayson Jorgensen. Hi, this is Jayson Jorgensen, Sports Director at KRVN. Thanks for watching our YouTube video. Keep up to date with everything we have going on with our sports coverage. You can find that, and we'd love to have you subscribe to our channel. Just hit the little red button in the right corner.